It's been an eventful summer. It's always going to be an eventful summer in the current recruiting landscape. You've added a lot of new pieces, but now you've gotten a chance to kind of see them a little bit, getting ready for this trip to Toronto. How are you feeling about the group?
I'm feeling great. I mean, we've actually finally been able to get everybody on the floor at the same time. We've had 2 full days of practice, and you can see a lot in 2 days. We've got a veteran team. It's returners and transfers that have played 2 or 3 years, and some 4. And you can tell. You know, we're sitting here at practice right now. When you're adding something new, it's not foreign to them. They understand the concepts. We have a team that's got a very high basketball IQ, so I'm excited about that. And they can play. This tournament in Toronto is going to be a huge advantage for us, just to be able to get some cohesiveness, get the kids playing together in games. You can practice all you want, you can play pickup, but to actually have a game structured, organized with officials is going to be a big deal.
Years and years ago, when you brought in this many new players, everybody would be like, well, they're rebuilding. Now you can kind of control, you get the positions you need, the types of players you need, the level of experience you need, or at least you try to. It's a whole different thing. You look at the Final Four, men's Final Four last year, teams are put together with transfers. It can happen.
No, we can. I mean, it's really what it's about now. We're still obviously recruiting high school players. We're trying to get the 4-year kid per se now. I mean, with the transfer, you never know. But that's our number one goal. And then we've always had the mindset of using the portal to fill in gaps. It's not our number one recruiting tool, but if we don't get what we need out of the high school classes, then we're going to sit there and look for transfers that can fill needs. And that's exactly what we did this past year. And really, really pleased with the holes that I thought we had, we were able to fill.
Just from what limited that you've seen, who looks good? That's always a loaded question to ask a coach because you don't want to leave anybody out. But who's come to your mind right away that, hey, this was, this we could have something?
Well, Sid from UMass, our transfer in from UMass, she's really looked good. She's explosive, she's smooth, she shoots the ball extremely well. I think she was in the top 5 or top 6 in the country and made 3-point shots this past year. Can pass the ball extremely well. Yeah, just been very, very impressed with her. Jada Curry at the point guard spot, very good passer, but can score. Has got a really nice 3-point shot, can score off the bounce. She's going to, fill some needs that we needed to at the scoring point guard spot. But been very impressed with how well she passes the basketball, which I think is going to be something our fans are going to enjoy.
Guards are important in the game, but there is also a lot of them. If you can get good players in the interior, it seems like it's a lot harder to me. I don't know, it's like recruiting the defensive line in football or something. You've got 2 really good interior players who have some versatility in Nyla and Olivia. What kind of offseason have they had?
They have had a very good offseason. I've been very impressed with them. They've both been in the gym. We're working on their ball handling, working on passing, things that to extend their game. Olivia really played well in our Iowa game. I think she really started to show what she's going to be able to do for us this entire year. Scored well with her back to the basket, faced up, drove from the high post. And then Nyla's she's more comfortable now. As a freshman thrown into a situation where you're playing on a top 10 team, top 5 team, it's difficult. But I think now she's much more relaxed out there playing, and she's really she's practiced well the last few days as well. And then Henny, our transfer from Bakersfield, is going to be fun to watch. At 6'4", she shoots the 3. Kind of reminds me of Kylie Shook. Just the way she can stretch the floor, she finishes around the basket. She probably handles the ball better right now as a junior than Kylie did, but not as far along defensively as Kylie was. But just really impressed with those 3 with their experience. And then Lex is back after having some injuries this past year. She'll provide some depth for us in the post as well. So it's a group that, we don't have someone right now who's able to play at 6'5", 6'6". Sosa, our last signee, will redshirt this year, but overall, I'm really pleased with our overall size that we have.
Well, and the main thing I guess you're looking for is basketball players, whatever their size is, and you just kind of, sometimes Denny Crum worked around it. He goes to a Final Four without anybody in the men's game over 6'8". I know the game's different, but you can win if you got basketball players.
So you can. I mean, that's one of the things that we've always talked about here. Everybody's like, you got to get a 6'5", you got to get a 6'6" big, and I'm like, sure, that's our ultimate goal if we can get them. They're just not falling off trees. There's a select few that are able to come in and really contribute right away. And I'd rather go out and get a Sarah Hammond and Emily Ixler, a 6'2" that can be versatile and play 2 or 3 positions. And we've had great success with those players. Maisha Hines-Allen, Sam Furine. But we're always looking for bigs. There aren't as many out there as everyone might think there are.
Some of Olivia's best moments here at UofL have been in regional finals. She steps up and hits free throws and makes a huge layup to move you into a Final Four. Year before last, the last season, she has that game against Iowa. What's that tell you about a player when they're able to perform at that stage?
Well, the big lights don't scare her. She likes to play in front of big crowds. She enjoys the moment. And she's one that I'm really excited. She has worked extremely hard on her conditioning in the off season right now, and is in the gym before practice, working on her touch, working on finishing around the basket. She's one that I think, with our change in personnel, with our transfers we have coming in, we'll look to get the ball into the post. I think we've got some guards that can make those passes, and I think Olivia's really going to be able to show what she can do.
Virginia Tech broke through to get to a Final Four last season, which just shows there's a lot of attention, rightfully so, on some of these SEC schools doing what they're doing. Year after year, the ACC is sending schools to the Final Four. Now you've had, Notre Dame, you guys, Virginia Tech, and recent. The league's getting deeper and better, is it not?
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, that's the one thing. And the portals, it's part of it. When you're able to add, if you've got 3 or 4 really good players, and all of a sudden you're able to go out and get 2 more that are experienced, that have played at a Division I, top 5 caliber play, it's a big difference compared to throwing a freshman in there. So I think teams are able to now fill a void that they might have at 1 or 2 spots that can really propel them to a Elite 8, a Final Four. And I'm hoping that's how it's going to continue. Now, NIL scares me some, because this game and the men's game, it could go back to how it was 15 or 20 years ago, when you knew that there's 8 teams that truly had a shot to get to a Final Four and win it. Everybody's going to play, but there's only 8 that truly have that shot because of payroll. I mean, it really is, at this point in time, it's just payroll.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole notion of the super team is like, the WNBA is kind of at that, and college is kind of, and
It's working its way.
It's not great for the overall game if you look at it, because college is a different animal, but that seems to be what people are saying about stuff. Toronto is a great opportunity you mentioned. How did that opportunity come about, and just what do you hope your players get out of that?
Well, I was just the first to reply to an email. The WBCA sent out an email to the teams last summer that finished in the top 16. And basically the first one to reply that said, you're in, got it. So I was quick off the send button to them to say that we would love to represent the U.S. So it's a tournament with Team Africa, the Puerto Rican select team, Canada, and us. And we're just representing the U.S. So we could have put a college all-star team together, but I thought it'd be best to just take our team up there to be able to compete. So it's an advantage. It does not count as our foreign tour, which is nice, because we'll try to do that the following year or the year after that. It allows you 10 days of true practice and then 4 real games, which like I said, when you've got officials out there, and from what we've been told, our Canada game is sold out. Kentucky men will represent the men's side of things. So it should be a great event, and I'm excited, and our players are excited.
We've talked about the topic of mental health and how big of a deal that is now in dealing with players, and we know that UofL has been very proactive. They have a large staff that deals with that, and even in kind of watching how you've dealt with players, you've had players sit games for that specific reason. How in touch is this program with it, and how big a part of that is maybe not your job, but the job of your whole staff, and just kind of reading the temperature of your team and helping them?
No, it's really important. I mean, we are at a point right now for the past few years that we have mental staff, support staff that meets with our team on the regular. It's once a week, if not more than that. And then every player, they have 24/7 access. They've got the phone numbers, because there are things that they won't want to come to me and talk about. They might not feel comfortable going to the coach. So we have those people on staff that our kids can reach out to. The tricky part is they've got to be willing to do it. And the reason we have regular meetings with our mental health staff is so our players get to know them. And the athletic department has done a great job of going out and getting staff that's diverse. So we have players that can relate with different members. If it's a female, if they like to talk to a female. If it's a male, we have that staff there for them. And that's what it's all about. I mean, it's a tricky thing. You've got, at times you're trying to help kids and push them through things to understand that when something goes wrong, if you have a bad shooting night, it doesn't have to be a crisis. It's okay. You just had a bad shooting night. Everybody is going to have a bad night. It's a matter of how can we move past that. Now, how can we get in the gym the next day and realize we just got to keep working? And then there are things that come up in life, especially with social media now. I tell our players all the time, if we win, look at it. If we lose, don't. I go back to, and I use the example to our players, 2 years ago we play at Notre Dame on their senior night, their last game of the regular season, and it's like 45-6. We played lights out. They were ranked in the top 15. And then we play Miami in the quarterfinals of the ACC tournament 5 days after that and get upset. The same people that were saying how great we were, the players were, is how bad we are. And it's like, it's just the way it is. When you've got access to just hit send after an emotional post, it's amazing what people will say. And I tell them, if you look at it, shame on you, because you're not going to like what you see. So it's just trying to make sure they're able to cope with that and understand you can't live your life off of what someone else is going to say. You've got to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and go, I've put everything into it that I know I can, if that's academically, if it's personally, or athletically. But mental health is it's really important right now, and I'm excited to say I'm a part of a program and athletic department that truly cares about it and has the resources to give to the student athletes.
One more thing for me, just you have scheduled a difficult schedule every year you've been here, some years more than others, but a year ago you looked at early schedule and everybody was upset and whatever because you're not winning every game when you're playing really good teams, a lot of them on the road. I haven't seen the full set of this year's games, but it's a similar type of schedule as we learn about different opponents coming up. This team is going to be tested. Do you do it any differently when you have so many new pieces?
Well, the problem is I schedule a year in advance. So I had this schedule completed before I even had a lot of the pieces to our puzzle finished. So, we are at UConn. We'll obviously play Kentucky here at home this year. It'll be announced today, so it won't be bad. It should be after we talk. We'll play Ole Miss at Ole Miss in the ACC SEC Challenge. We've got DePaul here at home. We've got Washington here at home. So we've got a pretty good schedule that will test us, but at the same time, hopefully give us some experience for when we get into ACC play, because it's going to be another great year in the ACC.
And you've always been among the attendance leaders in the country, and yet there's a step up to be taken too in that regard. And you look at women's crowds around the country, you see what the tournament was like, you see the ratings for the women's game. Are you eager to see if you can take that next step, where you average 10,000 or more?
That's our goal for this year, is to get to 10,000 plus. And part of that is we are going to start trying to get out into the community more, so the community and our city can get to meet our kids. Because I am a big believer. We've done the winning. You know, everybody says if you win, they'll come. You know, I think the core 9,000 that we get, they're going to continue to come because they know this team. They know how we win. Now it's getting the next 2,000. And I think that has to be done by getting out in the community and letting the people of our city get to know our team. Because I think once you get to know them, you realize not only are they great basketball players, but they're great people. And I tell our players all the time, it's hard as a parent, and being a parent of 4, when your son or daughter comes home going, hey, can we go watch Nyla play? Can we go watch Olivia play? And then you see the price of our tickets. It's hard to say no. So we've got to do a good job of getting out and getting those kids hooked and the parents hooked to want to come and support these players.